There we go. AI wallpaper. Alright. God exists. Oh my god, this live streamer named Daniel. Holy crap. He's telling the Christian he's irrational. The dude's an atheist or something. Yo, what's the rationale for your position, brah? This live streamer Daniel, he doesn't even know what like modus ponens is, and he's telling people about, oh, you need to study logical fallacies and read the Bible, and then you'll be an atheist. Oh man. Good morning. I'm chilling with my cat. I got my green tea. I gotta finish another chapter in this morality book. I'm up to chapter 9. I think we're at like page 160. How many pages are in this book? Like 200 some? I think I maybe got like 100 pages left. I should just start like reading tons of books. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Can you tell me why God exists? What have you seen or experienced? So God exists because God revealed himself, and that revelation is impossible to deny. It like explains things, right? So in the past, there were people who believed that fundamental reality was the Christian God. And this God, they believed, was personal, all-powerful, all-rational, and exceedingly creative. But they did not think this belief to be an arbitrary metaphysical speculation. Rather, it is their testimony that God had revealed this to them. They believed this revelation was true because it explained a great many things, right? So God's revelation explains the problem of the one and the many. Because everything in the universe is what God intended it to be, nothing is what it is by chance, and consequently every object in the universe is united, not by an infinitely improbable accident, but necessarily. Because the many particulars of man's experience all originate from God, they are by definition related to one another. Consequently, man's philosophical and scientific descriptions of those relationships are not mere fictions, but are real and meaningful. And because God is rational, logic has an absolute referent. And because rationality extends to everything God has done, it is universal. Mind and matter are appropriate to one another. The categories of thought correspond to the categories of reality. Man's mental processes correspond to physical processes. Survival, science, and philosophy are possible. A thing in itself can be known. And because God created man in his own image, man transcends the deterministic nexus of the material world. The human mind is not a mere physical object locked into the great machine of the universe, where thoughts are nothing more than brain states, the mere products of antecedent causes, neither true nor false. Man transcends nature and is related to it as a subject to object. Because God regulates and orders his creation, nature is uniform and causality exists. Since the same causes bring about the same effects, induction is possible and universal propositions can be formulated. And since universal propositions can be formulated, and since universal propositions are a precondition to logical deduction, logical deductions can be made. And because God first conceived the patterns and kinds after which all particular instantiations are created, universals have a referent and are real. Consequently, the classification and categorizing of man's experience is meaningful. So language and thought are therefore possible. And because God's character constitutes an absolute criteria which is obligatory on all creatures and for which there are absolute consequences, morality has a referent. Okay? And then if you deny that, you're going to have to explain all that stuff on an atheist model of reality, which will be impossible. And therefore, since all those things that I described are necessary for intelligibility, and the Christian God satisfies those conditions, then to deny the Christian God would be to deny the fact that we're having an intelligible experience, which would be absurd and impossible. And because of the impossibility of the contrary, Christianity is true. There you go. This man just using big words to feel smart, but saying nothing.
Hey, are you able to hear me, man?
What's up?
Hey, just want to make sure my voice was coming through.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, I consider myself a form of agnostic. I've had an interesting relationship with God, but I think fundamental to that relationship is doubt, right? And I think there are philosophical models that can kind of capture that dualist essence of the world, right? Like the world and the self. A lot of naturalist philosophy actually touches on that relationship between the world and the self. Am I experiencing the world through
Secular
these
philosophy
patterns?
doesn't go anywhere. You can't know anything that way.
You think you can? Yeah. I don't think that knowing things, right? I think that you're building that on some faith or assumption, right? And some people have faith in axiomatic
Everyone makes
assumptions for like the framework of science, right? I don't think that
Well, science
like
is
God
only.
is the end all be all for finding personal truth or subjective truth.
So we're talking about objective truth.
Objective truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me your interpretation of objective truth, just so we're talking about the same thing.
Something that's true, independent of like human opinions.
Yeah, independent of human opinion, observation, right? Just the essence or
Not
the structure of things, maybe.
not observation. Like if we both observe a tree, then that tree
Sure.
would be like an objective truth. However, that can only be the case if Christianity is true, because in an atheist model of reality, our observations and reason alone, without the aid of God, is not enough to get us to objective truth or any truth. It would destroy
Yeah,
truth.
I think like in a philosophical frame, that would be considered universal truth, right? And this conversation, you're feeling a connection with God, et cetera, is all kind of processed through the lens of the self, the locus of the self, right? Like your sensation of connection and understanding of truth is ultimately informed by neurochemical
No,
impulse,
it's
right?
just
Hormones
without
and
God, truth would be just whatever you make up, just you invent it. Not real.
there's like a lot of philosophy around the essence of a collective conscious, right? How truth is formed. That's called epistemology, right? And well, sure, God is one framework to grasp at an objective truth, right? You're assuming that
It's the only
like there's a
framework.
creator, sure, that the essence of things is the creator, that he's present in all things. Yeah, I think that's a totally valid model, right? But another valid model would be the locus of the self, kind of
That's
us
not
as an
valid.
emergent pattern
No,
in the
that's not
world.
valid. That
Why
would,
is that not valid, man?
because all evidence would be arbitrary because it would just depend on the opinion of a human mind.
All right, now your opinion is that God exists because you feel it and you know it to be true, right? And you
Incorrect.
were, yeah.
Incorrect.
Okay, tell
God
me.
is objectively proven. It's not
How's
my
God
opinion.
objectively proven? That seems like a take not a lot of people are willing to take on. I'd like to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, it's a transcendental argument for God is an objective proof. So
A
we just
transcendental argument, an argument, right? That is within the confines of human language. Even this discussion, there's the assumption that we are using words similarly enough to communicate
Yes.
effectively,
But
right?
I'm arguing that that's only possible if God exists. If there was no God, we could not communicate.
Well, what if the world exists, right? What if the universe exists?
What if?
Yeah, what if? Like you're still perceiving that through the locus of the self, through
You
the
would never know
impulses
that.
and the hormones and
You
the
would
gut
never know
biome,
that.
all these interconnected factors that lead to us having this conversation, right? And when you're saying that an atheist or an agnostic framework can't grasp at any transcendental truth, like that just tells me you haven't looked into Neoplatonism or even like skeptical nihilism, right?
Neoplatonism doesn't work. How would you know anything about the Platonic realm?
How do you know anything, right? We're talking epistemology, like I was talking about at the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's what
So
you feel,
Neoplatonism
what
could
you
explain like
sense, what you verify, right? How do you verify?
yeah. How would you know? Oh, I haven't looked into Neoplatonism. Give me a break, guy. How would you even know that was true? Platonism was true. How would you have access to the
we're talking about
Platonic
how
realm?
is anything
Hey, guy. How do you have access to the Platonic realm?
the Platonic realm, right?
Yeah,
Some
how do you
people would say
access
that
that?
that's an
How would you-
emergent phenomenon from the self. And the thing is,
So how would you fucking know it exists?
because I feel, I sense, and I verify
Dude,
through
you're
experience and the
bullshitting. You
perspective
wouldn't
of
know,
others.
would you? You would have no idea the Platonic realm exists.
You're
No
assuming that
access to
God's
that.
real.
So
I'm
isn't it
assuming that
bullshit?
language is a framework through which we can communicate. If we're talking about the essence of reality, we're
Oh
talking
my
about
God, you're
space
so
time.
fucking annoying. I'm gonna kick you if you
Yeah,
don't start
yeah.
dealing with what I'm presenting to you.
Okay. Let's start over, man. What do you want to talk
Platonism
about?
is horseshit because you have no access to the Platonic realm, right?
No, we certainly have
Okay, well,
access
thank-
to a conceptual Platonic realm, and everything that we
How the
experience
fuck
is
would you
conceptual.
access the Platonic realm? How would you know that?
How would you know that? Through
Yes.
the emergent phenomena of self, through the locus
That's
of
not-
the world,
that's-
or the emergent phenomena of the world through
That
the
is
locus
not-
of the
that
self.
is
That's like
horseshit,
Buddhist principles,
dude.
man.
Why are you?
That's philosophy attached to Buddhist principles.
You are a bad person.
I'm
You
a
are
bad
very
person. Tell me why I'm a bad person, man.
You're not cooperating. You're not dealing with what I'm presenting to you.
I am. I'm addressing. And
Having
maybe it's the
Platonism
framework of
being an
language.
emergent phenomena of what your brain
Yeah, the pattern of my brain, the pattern and the
is a
connection
bunch
between my
of
brain and my body.
gobbledygook. That's BS, dude.
So you're saying that science is BS. You're saying that the fact that like
where
I
did you get this
interpret a
idea
light
that
wave
Platonism is an emergent
into
property.
a
All right. Thanks
neurological
for coming.
electrical
Thanks for
impulse.
coming. I wish you well. Oh my God,
Yeah, I wish you all too, man.
what a disaster you are. Holy crap, man. Ugh.
You need a minute after that?
Not really.
Okay.
What's up, man?
Hey, so to get the baseline out of the way, I am interested in a good faith, logic-based debate. And my position as an agnostic is that God is not objectively provable. The existence of God is not objectively provable.
Well, first of all, you're not a Gnostic. You're not agnostic. You said agnostic, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you can't be agnostic because God's obvious, right? So,
Well, the thing about that is that it depends on which God. Obviously, you believe in the Christian God, but I would suggest that everything that you attribute to the Christian God could just as easily be attributed to any other deity throughout all of history.
well, that's just kooky because the Christian God has unique attributes, right? You can't just insert any God for the Christian God. That's nuts.
Okay, which unique attributes?
Like it's Trinitarian, right? So no other God is a Trinitarian God. So
Except for the Wiccan goddess.
what?
Yeah, the Wiccan goddess exists as a trinity.
I'm really looking to talk to rational people. So only Christians have the doctrine of the Trinity, right? And the doctrine of the Trinity is necessary to explain like the unity and diversity in reality. So not any God can just explain that, right? It's necessarily the Christian God.
Okay, why?
Because Christianity, the attributes set of the Christian worldview are unique. No other religion or God has those attributes, and those attributes are necessary to explain, like, the fact that we're having this conversation or how science is possible and stuff. So to deny the Christian God is to deny science, essentially.
But I just told you that the aspect of Trinitarianism isn't unique. It even goes back as far as
No, it
Roman
is.
god Janus.
No, you don't know what you're talking about. No, it does
Had three
not.
faces who could look into the past, present, and
Okay,
future.
look,
Trinitarianism is not a uniquely Christian doctrine.
Well, that's just not true. So what are we going to do? Am I going to kick you for lying, or are you going to admit you're full of crap?
I mean, if you're not interested in a good faith
Okay, well,
argument,
thanks
you
for
can feel
coming.
free to
I
admit
wish
the
you
point
well.
and can kick me.
Okay. Fucking kooks, dude.
Yo,
He's not lying. Yo,
hey, I'm actually here to help you. I'm not a.
I'm not here to be helped.
Yeah, I figured. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you know the Elliot argument already? You heard
No,
that?
I'm not really interested in that. That's a stupid argument for dummies.
It's not. It's really easy.
It's really a stupid argument for dummies. So, would you know God if God intended not to be known?
Would I know God if God intended not to be known? That has nothing to do with the Elliot argument.
It has everything to do with it. So you wouldn't know God if God intended not to be known, right?
Sure, I suppose. Yeah.
So the only way we can know God is God takes the initiative to reveal himself to us. Therefore, any evidence of God must include revelation, or it is not evidence of God. Does the Elliot argument include God's revelation?
No, it doesn't.
Well, then how could it be evidence of God, since that's the only way we can know God?
Because it uses the logical law of the excluded middle. It shows that atheism is incorrect.
Well, that's dumb. You can't. Because unless the evidence includes revelation, it's not evidence of God, since God can only be known through revelation. It's very simple.
I don't know about that. I mean, that's an opinion, but
Okay. How else could you know God?
like I just explained, if you can disprove that a fire is either burning or not burning, right? No matter what, what language you speak, no matter what culture you're in, no matter what location you're at, and if we can prove that the fire is burning rather than out, and show that so for any position that is false, the negation of it is true. So if I'm saying that the fire is out and that is false, then it has to be burning. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So if I prove that atheism is wrong, then theism is necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the premise or the basis of the Elliot argument.
If you prove it.
Go ahead.
No. If you prove that atheism is false, so how do you prove atheism is false?
Okay, so there's only three options for the origin of the universe. All humans, no matter who you are, we only have three options. One is God. We call it the UC option, the uncreated creator. The second is space-time eternal. We abbreviate that using STE. And the third is something coming from pure nothingness. We call that SCPN. So those are the only three options. And at a foundational level, no matter who you are, if you even try to attempt to provide a fourth option, it would fall into one of those three options at a foundational level, no matter what. So now we have to prove that STE is not correct and that something can't come from pure nothingness.
How do you prove that the Earth isn't the universe isn't like eternal?
Eternal. Okay, those are that one's really simple, and so follow me here for a second. If I ask you how many seconds it would take for you to jump rope 10 times, what would your answer be?
10 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, just track with me. I know it's silly, but this is an easy way to explain it. If I ask you again, how many seconds would it take you to jump rope 20 times?
Uh, 20 seconds.
Okay, so if I ask you how many seconds would it take you to jump rope an infinite number of times?
An infinite amount of seconds.
Right, and would you ever reach the end of that infinite
No.
series? Correct. So if we apply that logic, right, we know we can't reach the end to an infinite series. There is no point ever on an infinite timeline that can be actualized. You cannot traverse an infinite timeline, even if we're talking forward. Now take that and apply it to the past. If the universe had no beginning and it has been going on and on with no start, would you ever reach this point? You wouldn't. So here's another example, like a train, right, with no beginning has been coming towards your house.
Does God have a beginning?
No.
So then why doesn't this apply to God?
Because he's exists outside of the realm of time and space.
That's going to cause a lot more problems.
I know atheists. That's the first thing atheists do is say, "Oh, but you can apply the same."
You're special pleading. Yeah, you're just special pleading.
But so your God doesn't exist outside of time and space?
No. Time represents the life of God.
So he had a beginning?
No, the first moment of time was the life of God. And then the second moment of time was creation.
So the life of God, is he dead?
No.
Was he born?
No, he's eternal.
Okay, so that's exactly the same thing I'm saying. God is an eternal being.
Yeah, but
outside, something eternal exists outside.
But you're special pleading because you're saying that like the universe can't be eternal, but God can be eternal, right? So that's a fallacy. Or when I argue for God, I'm not saying that the universe can't be eternal, right?
So you believe God created the universe and the universe was also eternal along with God?
No. I'm saying that if I'm an atheist, right? Uh-huh. And you're going to say, well, you can't say the universe is eternal. Well, then I'm going to say, well, then you can't say God's eternal. So that argument doesn't get you anywhere.
Here.
Right? Because I could just use your same logic for why the universe can't be eternal, and I could just apply that to God, right?
No, God is a powerful being. He exists outside of time and space. He doesn't occupy a space.
Well, if he exists outside of time and space, and then he's not immanent, then that's going to cause a whole host of problems. Like you don't have divine providence. So now, how are you going to explain like the order in the world?
The order.
He's outside of the world now. Now, what is the order in the world? This doesn't make any sense, dude.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
You need the revelation of God, right? We can't know God without God's revelation. Human reason and observation is not enough to prove God or prove anything at all.
For example,
All right, woman, I'm going to let you up. I'm just going to move on to the next person. This just doesn't work, dude.
okay. If that's what you
Yeah, that Elliot guy, he's weird, man. I wouldn't listen to him. You should listen to Darth Dawkins. Thanks for coming. I wish you well. Welcome, woman. I feel like I'm insulting you by calling you woman.
No, you're not insulting me. In fact, I'm proud to be a woman.
Yeah, it's like it sounds condescending.
No, it's not actually. I join a few lives where it seems that my handle of woman is perplexing.
All right, so what would you like to say?
So I respect people who have the courage to say, no, not buying in on what we were taught as children. I also respect those who, walk their faith without having any, I hate to use this word, but proof. So it tells me they're dreamers. And only when it becomes, only when it encroaches on my life do I give a shit, right? So,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's why this, and I'm not going to go to politics. I won't do that. But it really becomes a part, well, it becomes it hurts me when you try to subject your belief, your faith, which means you're, trying to believe in something without proof, on my everyday life.
We don't believe it without proof. Like, we now know that Christianity is objectively proven. There's without a shadow of a doubt it's true.
Oh,
We know that.
okay. But that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say it that way.
Yeah. And who are they? Are there Christians that are oppressing and persecuting you? Who are these Christians?
These Christians tell me that my health care, in terms of making decisions on my life, are going to send me to their lake of fire. They are telling me that if I do not walk the same walk as they do, that I'm going to burn in hell. And I can promise you that I do more good than harm.
Okay, but they're just warning you about what's going to happen if you don't repent. It's because they love you.
No,
They don't want
it's
you to be
not.
eternally.
No,
They don't want you to be eternally separated from God.
they don't love me. They
They
actually
do.
are jealous of me.
I doubt it.
No, I think they are. I really do.
They just don't want you to go to hell. They're trying to warn you. Why do you want to go to hell?
what? I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in God.
Matter.
I don't
It's not going
subscribe
to save you.
that logic.
So,
Okay, well,
on Judgment
upon
Day, Are you going to tell
Uh-huh.
Jesus, well, I don't believe in hell, so it's not a problem?
You know what?
Is that
If
going to
there
stop him
is
from
a
sending you
judgment
there?
day, then I will pull his ear down and I will make him answer. No, you laugh. Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, you're going to show God who's boss?
No,
Like, what?
no. I'm going to take that being, and I'm going to make him answer for why my child died. I'm going to make him answer questions that will most likely, God, don't cry, Inch. Don't. I'm pissed off.
Yeah, that's why you don't believe in him, because bad things happened and you blame
Right?
God.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Why? He's
well,
not worthy.
it's because we rebelled against him. Originally, he created the world where there wasn't death and
Shit.
suffering.
Really?
And we rebelled against him. And he has a plan for redemption where he allows unpleasant things to happen, so we learn not to love the world, and we learn to love God instead of loving the world.
Okay. Well, you tell that to the little girl in Palestine who's hungry.
Yeah, but what about Frederick Douglass? Frederick Douglass, do you know who that is?
Frederick Douglass. I mean, I can look him up. His name seems familiar.
He was born in the Civil War time, or pre-Civil War, I suppose, and he was yeah, so he was a slave, but he was he was also a Christian, and he found like in these dark days of bondage, he found hope in the teachings of Christianity. It wasn't just like a set of doctrines for him, but it was a lifeline that sustained him when all else seemed lost. Like,
Right.
think about this: if Christianity is true, you can be reunited with your lost loved ones, right, in an afterlife. So yeah, from our perception on Earth, it sucks that we lose people we love, but if you think about the afterlife and what's next, then it's not as so bad, because death is just like a doorway to another world, another life, right? And you will be able to see your lost loved ones again. You'll be able to be reunited with them in heaven. So if Christianity is not true, then there's no hope for that. You'll never see your lost loved ones again. They just don't exist anymore. But I don't believe that, right? I think there is hope. I think you can believe it's real.
I think maybe that I want to love the people around me now, this finite time that I am aware and capable of making someone's life better than I am rejoining my child or family.
Well, that's what Christianity is all about. It's the idea that
No,
yeah,
it's not. It hurts people.
no, it doesn't.
Yes,
We
it
they
does.
like it. They feed people who are hungry. They provide shelter for homeless people. They build hospitals to help sick people.
It makes them feel guilty for normal acts. It no. I mean, I'm trying to be fair, and it hurts. It hurts people. It makes them feel guilty for normal things. And it denies what we are as an animal, as a human animal. We are not above other creatures on this earth, and
Are
it
you
sort
kidding me?
of gives us permission to be awful, thought thoughtless, and
You
all
don't think
consuming.
you don't think humans have a higher value than animals?
We are an animal.
So, if given a choice, you don't see a difference between like saving the life of a human versus saving the life of a dog. You would choose the dog.
Well, I don't accept the premise of your question. So,
Okay.
okay. So, if I happened upon and some sort of terrible accident, of course I'm going to grab the child before I grab the cat. Of
Uh-huh.
course, that's
Because
instinct.
you value humans over animals.
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
All right, keep laughing.
Well, that's just weird.
It's not weird.
It is weird. I mean, I guess it's a logical entailment of your position when you reject God, but like it's really bizarre for me as like a Christian. I think humans are made in the image of God. So
So
even when I
why
wasn't a
do you
Christian,
love your God?
I love God because even though I rebelled, I'm a horrible person and I'm a sinner. Um, he loved me the whole time, and he sacrificed his son so that I could have a relationship with him.
Sacrificed his son. This omnipotent, all powerful being had to sacrifice a son?
Yes, because God is just, and so
Uh-huh.
when
Okay.
you sin against God, their debt has to be paid, or else he's not just.
No. No. Who made that up?
That's just what it means to be just. But he's also
No.
merciful, right? And so instead of
No,
making
he's
us,
not. No, he's not. He
yes, he
took
is.
my child. He took my child.
Mm.
What just is there in that? An innocent child.
Well, but your child is probably like in heaven and happy now.
Oh, shit, right? I hope so. I hope you're right. But, God, how do you not see how awful your God is?
I don't. I mean, it's literally it's about loving other people, being forgiving, being humble.
Right? And I do
Like,
that without God.
Well, we said I don't
I
know.
do that without your God. You understand?
I don't think you can, like, because I tried to make it without God, and so I know from firsthand experience that like it's not possible. This life is too hard. You can't make it through this life without God. We all need God. You're gonna end up in despair. Like, where's the hope in the world? If there's no God, you have no hope.
I do have hope.
In what?
I don't need a what. I don't need
You
a
don't have
who.
hope. There's no
And
hope
I
without
don't need
God.
a God.
If
I'm simply telling you that I love people.
I do
I'm
too.
curious. I I don't need a leader in terms
You
of
hope.
someone who's threatening me to burn in hell to
No
make me
one's
love
threatening you.
him.
No one is threatening you. You
Yes,
have
he
no.
does.
It's not a
Yes, he
punishment.
does.
It's just a consequence. It's you have like
No.
yes, you have like
No.
you have a spiritual disease. You have like spiritual rabies, and Jesus is the vaccine.
Sorry.
It's not that you're
No.
being. It's not that you're being punished. You already have a disease, right?
Right? And he made me that way, right?
You didn't make you that way. You rebelled. We rebelled against God.
No.
Yes.
No, he made me that way.
No, you rebelled against God.
No, I did
Yes.
not.
No, no, you're just
I
living.
had no concept of God until I was told there was a God. When I was 3, 4, and 5 years old, I just enjoyed life. I loved
When you were
people.
3. Okay. I
I'm
don't know.
sorry. You know what? I do not want to take your faith away. What I want is
Don't
that
worry.
your faith doesn't harm me or
Yeah,
the
who are
people
these
I love.
Christians harming you? We're these Christian oppressors. Shouldn't you be more worried about like Muslims or something?
No.
No. So what are the
In
Christian
my mind,
oppressors? Where are the
and
Christian? What are these Christians
frankly,
like oppressing you? I don't
when
understand.
you look at history and you look at current day activities, religion harms people.
In
People.
what way?
People
In
just
what way?
trying to feed their the people they love.
Okay, I
Um
would agree with like Islam, but like Christianity, like where's Christianity harming people?
okay. I'm sick and I'm, I don't know, 12 weeks pregnant, and I'm going to die if I live in Texas because your religion, Christianity, says, wait a minute, no,
It's not.
no,
It's not Christianity. That's your state.
no,
No.
no. It's your politics, your God that you love so much that
Does
let
God
a
vote?
woman die.
No. That's the state.
Yes.
That's the state. That
Oh,
has nothing to do with
sir,
Christianity.
you are intelligent. You are articulate. You are a beautiful human. I can tell. And you let a thought process like Christianity infect your thinking.
Christianity saved my relationship with my father. Before I was a Christian, I was angry and I held grudges, but Jesus taught me the power of forgiveness, and it helped heal my relationship. I had a broken relationship with my father, and through the
Did
power of
God give you
forgiveness,
that, or did you actually wake up and realize that your
I
father was a human?
I never would have done it on my own without God. I was
Okay.
in utter despair and I was hopeless. And God gave me hope, taught me the power of forgiveness. And as a result of me becoming a Christian, I was able to have a relationship with my dad before he suffered and died of cancer. And if it wasn't for Jesus, I would have never had that relationship healed with, and he would have unalived, and that would have just been forever broken. It would have never been healed. So I am in deep gratitude to Christianity and Jesus for saving my relationship with my father. And, even though God took both my parents from me, I'm not mad at him. I don't hate him. And I can understand like why you're mad about that. But I don't think, I think it's just more, you should turn to Jesus because you're not going to want to be eternally separated
I don't
with
like
God.
him.
You don't like him. He's literally like, have you read the Gospels? He's all about loving others and challenging. He's about challenging the politics, right? So
Yeah.
Jesus challenged the authorities, the Jewish authorities and the Roman authorities. And you seem to have a problem with the authorities of your time, right? So you think you have the right to abortion or whatever. Well,
I
I
have the
mean,
right to save my life.
that's what. Well, then, I mean that's all Jesus is doing, challenging the state. The state is not like a Christian thing. So you're mad at the state over women's rights, not Christianity has nothing to do with that. Christianity is about challenging the establishment.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I respect that you have been respectful, and you know what? I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful life.
Sam, I wish you well, and I'm sorry about your loss. Well, I can understand why she doesn't want to be a Christian. If bad things happen like that, then that must be awful to lose a child. I couldn't imagine. Hey, Sela.
Hey, yeah, I feel sorry for her, but it sucks that she's taking it out on God because God didn't take her child. Well, never
Well,
mind. God took her child straight to paradise. Honestly, I didn't really hear much about her. Like, I don't know if she mentioned how old her child was.
no, she didn't really go into details. She just said she lost her child, and she was upset with God, which is understandable. But I think when you're in a time like that, like that's when you need God more than ever. That's what I find. Like I think life can be really hard. And trying to live without God, it's like for me it was impossible. I need God. I cannot. My mental health would suffer if I wasn't a Christian. So
Right, because for me, it just seems like she's getting mad at the wrong person.
yeah, but it's a pretty common thing. So
Yeah, that's
it's kind of
true.
like a human nature. It's what we tend to do. That's a lot of people. When things go wrong in their life, they blame God, and then they don't think about the fact that like we rebelled against God and that the world became corrupt. And I like the way Darth puts it, where he says God allows bad things to happen so we learn not to love the world. Because we find that the world offers all these like things to. It's like a little theme park or something. It looks fun, a fun ride. It offers all these things, but at the end of the day, everything the world has to offer will leave you empty inside. There's nothing like fulfilling there. It's not sustainable. Only we all need God. Like God is the true purpose for our life. And I just think it just makes life so much harder to try and do it on your own. Like, what is the verse where Jesus says, like, my yoke? Let me look at the verse.
And I guess I'm just more of the optimistic type, but I get that mindset because, like, my grandfather was helping somebody on the side of a highway, and he actually got unalived by a car that was coming speeding past.
Right.
And they didn't care. Like, do I know why God didn't make that person open their eyes and slam on the brakes? No. But I definitely shouldn't be blaming God for that.
So in Matthew 11, verse 28 through 30, it says, come to me, all you are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's Jesus right there. So life can be very difficult, but when we place our faith in Jesus, it makes everything so much easier. Any obstacle in life can be overcome if you have faith.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I genuinely feel for her. I wish she wasn't. I wish she wasn't blaming it on God, but I'm sure God will lead her to the truth,
Yes.
and it's up to her whether she wants to accept it or not.
Yes. I agree. Welcome, Clips.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Uh,
So I was gonna, cause you were saying that Christians won't like responsible for anything or anything like that. But what about like the witches they unalived?
I don't know. That's like I haven't done a lot of research into that, but
There was a lot of innocent people. A lot of innocent people that were claimed to be
that's
witches.
like the Bible doesn't support that behavior. Those are just like sure there's like kooky Christian cults where they get weird ideas and do weird things.
You know, but you said Christians in general haven't done anything to harm anybody, and that's just incorrect.
Well, where is this? Where are these Christians that are like harming people? Because do you know what the Bible teaches, right?
That was talking about like in the 1800s, 1700s.
In the
History.
1800s. Yeah, but that's like that was the whole thing with witchcraft. That was more of like a political thing. That wasn't like the Bible doesn't teach to go unalive witches, right?
But it was Christians.
Yeah, but we have to look at the reasons for what they're doing. Like that the witchcraft was like a political movement, and
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
you don't even know what you're talking about.
It was not a political thing. No.
Yes,
No,
it
it was not a
was. You don't know what
political
you're
thing.
talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Because, like, early on, Christians didn't, like, care about witchcraft, right? Because we teach that it's not real. They don't have real magic, right?
But that's just not true. In history, they unalived so many innocent people because they were claimed to be witches.
No, dude, the Bible says to love everyone, even your enemies.
Okay, well, I'm not just talking about just the Bible. I'm talking about
but
there's other things that explain history other than the Bible.
What are these Christians doing? Like loving people to death or something? Like honestly, like they're not Christians are not running around being violent in history. Okay,
What?
they literally what? Yeah, Christianity is about helping.
The Bible
others.
is not the only book for history. The thing is,
Sir.
I'm not religious.
Sir.
I can understand you looking at the Bible
Right, of course you're
for
not.
historic knowledge. I understand that, but it's not the only book.
Dude, Christians like build hospitals. They feed the poor. They give shelter to homeless people. Christianity is about helping others. It's not about being cruel and mean to others. Like, what are you talking about?
What about all the
literally-
innocent witches?
I told you that was political. That's not. They're not doing.
That's
Where in the
not
Bible does it
political.
say? Where in the Bible does it say to unalive witches?
I mean, there's a lot of things in the Bible that doesn't seem right, but like I said, there's other books.
You're blaming politics. This is a political thing.
I never
It's
said
not
anything
a
about
Christian
politics.
thing. Where are
You
the
said
Christians that are
politics.
unaliving witches? Is that happening? You're talking
It
about.
did happen.
you're ta-
It did happen. By the
Yeah.
hands
So
of
what?
Christians.
So what?
By the hands of Christians.
Oh my God! But were they doing it because of Christianity? No.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for coming. You're unreasonable.
Are you, bro? Come on! Don't even do that. Don't do that. You should know. You know.
dude? Do you think atheism is rational?
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's harmful. I mean, I don't even think Christianity is harmful for people. I think it helps. Like you were saying earlier.
Then why are you
How,
coming up with this nonsense? This is nonsense, dude.
It's not nonsense.
It is nonsense.
What is nonsense? I was talking about the innocent witches that died, but I didn't even say that Christianity was bad nowadays. Because like you said earlier, talking about how it helped you build your relationship with your dad, I think that's good. And
Yeah, Christianity is good. There's nothing
I don't
bad
think
about
it's
it.
necessarily bad, but you're acting like stuff in history didn't happen.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you can't blame stuff in history on Christianity. It's not Christianity's fault that a bunch of crazed lunatics went and like unalived some lunatics over like a political dispute. That is
Well, y'all do the
nothing.
same thing.
That is
Y'all do the
nothing
same
to
thing in
sir.
terms of
This
the
just has
devil.
nothing to do with Jesus. What does
Y'all
Jesus
do the
have to
same
do with
thing
that?
in terms of the devil. When something bad happens, y'all say, "Oh, it's the devil." It's the same thing.
Well, tell me the connection between Jesus having a relationship with Jesus and unaliving witches. What's the connection?
Well, you said it was political when it
Tell
wasn't
me the
political.
connection. Yeah.
It wasn't political. They
What
thought
is
that they
having
were
a
demon
relationship with
witches from-
Jesus? What does
they
that have
thought
to
they
do
were
with
demon witches
unaliving
from
witches
hell.
200 years ago?
They
This
thought they
this
were
is
demon
kooky.
witches from hell. What is political about that? That is religion based, not political.
No, it was you don't even know. You don't even
You
know
keep
what you're
saying
talking
I
about.
don't know, but you're not saying
Because you
anything to
don't know what
combat
you're
it.
talking about, man. Like, we're not. You come up here and you want to talk about history. Oh, have you read a history book?
I did actually, and I just explained a good part of history.
What history book have you read?
Plenty of them. I just explained
You're
to
a
you
liar,
about
dude.
innocent witches.
You don't
being
know
killed by
anything about
Christians.
history, dude.
And you're acting like it was political when they thought that they were witches from hell. That is religious, not political.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You keep saying that, but you're not saying anything to combat it. You're looking up something on the computer to you're scrambling to find something. And I literally said nowadays it's not even that bad. I think it helps people, especially with addicts and stuff like that. I think that's helpful with addicts trying to get clean and stuff off of substances and stuff like that. But you're saying that it's political, and there was nothing political about it. They thought they were witches from hell.
The church's crackdown on heresy was inherently political because it was about maintaining religious.
Wait, did you say churches? Churches? You talking about a religious? Yeah,
the religious institutions.
Religious institutions
became they became closely connected with the state, right? Religion and the state were. Remember how America was
political?
Do you remember this?
Burned innocent witches.
Hey, do you remember about this thing called the American Revolution?
Are you trying to justify it? Are you justifying
Sir,
it?
will you shut the fuck up? So do you remember?
Whoa, wow, you're a Christian. You're a man of God.
You, dude. Fuck you.
Oh, wow, you're a man of God.
Oh, wow. Piece of shit. Welcome.
Precept, don't let those guys like that get to you. It was political. If you look back into Europe, you see this one guy. He wants to have power with the Roman Catholic Church, and he begins to make these false claims against people and everything like that. So it was a political issue that was used by a man and also by the Catholic Church because they're afraid of losing their power. But don't let these guys get you to a place where you're, swearing. Just,
Oh, I have to swear. I can't avoid it.
Well, don't let them get you.
I don't think it's wrong to swear.
Don't let them get you to that place. You know what I mean? And this guy still here is just doing nothing but trolling. That's all he's doing.
Yeah, he's just trolling me. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never read a history book. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Still here talking about Jesus kissing men. He has a fascination with men and intimacy. Maybe he's telling on himself.
I think you have very, you're very discerning. I'm getting that up.
All right, keep up the good work, and
Thanks,
I felt sorry for that.
I'm getting frustrated with people today.
I know. Right, and also they say, "Oh, Christians, they're so mean, they're so nasty." You were very, very compassionate with the woman. You were very compassionate and empathetic. So
yeah, I was trying to be.
Yeah, well, you were.
But that last guest was he was just being a jerk.
I know, exactly. All right, bud, keep up the good work.
All right, thanks, man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, please up.
Yeah.
Watch out! You may get a thing from Steel here. They may want to kiss you. Okay.
Yeah, we always gotta be. You gotta say no to P Diddy, everyone.
Right.
You ever see that Cat Williams interview? That was so funny. The podcast that podcast got 85 million views or something crazy. All right, well, man, today's been pretty frustrating. I'm here to talk about the transcendental argument for God, and I'm getting people like that last guest who. What is this the Salem witch trials? How does that reflect Christianity? This is political. like the Crusades and stuff. It's political. You know, I looked into like the Spanish Inquisition is one thing they'll bring up, and from what I found, that like the Pope actually condemned the Inquisition and said it was unchristian, but then the state, the King of Spain, was like blackmailing the Pope or something. Because it was like a political thing, the Spanish Inquisition. Because like people got to realize that the state and religion were more closely linked in the past, and so a lot of the state would say it's like sponsored by God, or like it's in relation, had a relationship with the church, and so the state would blame things like it would say like, you know, we need to do this because God, right? Like these people are heretics and we need to like get rid of them. But this it's a politically motivated thing, because the Bible has a message that's against like being oppressive and persecuting people. So the Bible would be against that type of thing. But that's something that the state power corrupts. So when institutions of the church get power, it results in corruptions. When the state gets power, it results in corruption. Corruption is just a part of like Lord of the Rings. It's a part of life. So it's not like Christianity's fault. Christianity is just it's literally just about like loving everyone, including your enemies, forgiving people, challenging the establishment, right? Jesus challenged the establishment. So as Christians, we're meant to question where the direction society is going. We're meant to be like we're sort of like rebels, spiritual rebels. So I don't think Christianity was meant to be this thing where it orders society. That like I don't believe in like a theocracy. Like I don't think the state should be Christian. I think Christianity should exist alongside the state to question what the state is doing. Because we can say, because of God, we can, and Jesus, and we know what's right and wrong. And we can say, is this what the state doing really right and wrong? Is this really like what Jesus wants?
Yeah,
So,
that's a good point.
yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
And if that was so, like if Christians were like they obviously weren't, but if it was solely like just a Christian movement to do that, I would be questioning the fact that if they're Christian or not, because as you said, the Bible doesn't teach to unalive witches. Like that's not biblical.
There's even literally an example in the Bible where they want to unalive, a crowd wants to unalive an adulterous woman, right? And what does Jesus say? He says, he who is without sin cast the first stone, right? And Jesus was without sin, right? Jesus didn't have sin, so he could have casted the stone.
Right.
But he didn't. He didn't stone her. What did he say to her? Go and sin no more, I think he said. Was this Jesus, adulterous woman stoned?
Because I thought it went like, so basically they were like trying to stone her, and then sorry, what?
We can read it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I think this is the right. Yeah, right here. So at dawn, Jesus appeared again in the temple courts, where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law of Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. Now what do you say?" They were using this question as a trap, in order to have a basis for accusing him. Oh, I see. This is where Darth will. This is where Darth got me. So I guess this is about a legal technicality or something. So, but Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And again he stepped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time, the older one first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, "Woman, who are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." So,
Yeah, and I hate when people bring that up because they usually misrepresent it and say, "Oh, like Jesus advocates for stoning women for for being adulterers." But as far as I know, that's Jewish law that had that like a part of the
that was the
law.
law of Moses.
Oh, it was the law of Moses?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I think the idea is that there was some technicality where they were breaking the law by condemning her because there needed to be like the man needed to be there too or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure God created the law of Moses to show everybody that they break the law. Like, correct me if I'm wrong on that. Because
I need to study this more. I'm not like a Bible. I'm here to like do tag. I'm not really here to like do Bible study.
right.
But
Yeah, which
everyone
is
is
kind of
forcing me
funny.
into the Bible study all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You explicitly like you bring up tag by itself, and then everybody talks about anything but tag.
Yeah.
Anything but.
But
Like
that's what I
they'll talk
study.
about slavery.
Yeah, I studied tag, so I feel comfortable like debating it and talking about it. But then I'm not like a Bible scholar, so when it gets to all this like biblical stuff, I have to like go and research it. I don't just know everything off the top of my head. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, yeah. Going back to what you were saying, historically speaking, from Constantine all the way up through to the establishment of freedom of religion in the United States, it was always a state and religion joined together. That's why they came to America so they could have the freedom of that. Even up until today, the Anglican Church is controlled by the king, and the throne, and you have Denmark and different places where it was all controlled by the state. So you're absolutely right. From all the way from Constantine when it was established in the Roman Empire, and then the Holy Roman Empire, all the way through all those times, it was religion was a part of the state, and they did things to stay in power. So anyone that would know history would understand that, but a lot of them don't even know the history. They just want to blame Christianity for everything. So you're absolutely right.
Yep, exactly. That's a good point. Thank you. Yeah, what's funny is because originally Christianity was sort of against the state, where
Exactly.
Rome was trying to persecute and wipe Christians out and feed them to the lions and all that. And then it's amazing because of the power of the Holy Spirit, it transformed the whole Roman Empire and it became Christian. But
Yeah,
then there's a
without the
downside to
power of the
that.
state, as soon as it became a part of as soon as it became controlled with the power of the state and kings and queens and all that, that's when the corruption began to come in. You could just go see the history of that, and that's
Yes.
when Christianity become weak and worldly and everything else, and lost its true meaning.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Yes. Unfortunately, Christians aren't perfect, that we're still in this world. The world's corrupt. and
Exactly.
that can affect the institutions. But I think because of the power of the Holy Spirit, Christianity prevails. Like
It,
there,
isn't that something?
yes.
Priests up regardless, Christianity still prevail, and that's why it's hated so much. It still prevails in the midst of all that. It still prevails because Jesus says, "Upon this rock I build my church," and even death itself cannot stand against it.
And he says we don't have to be like large numbers. I think some Christians, they get worldly and they want everyone to be a Christian, but
Yeah,
Jesus
right.
says that we'll always be a little flock, and we're like the leaven in the bread.
Leaven in the bread. That's right.
So there's only a small amount of leaven you put in the mixture of the bread, and that little bit of leaven, it raises all the bread up. So we just need a few Christians in this world of darkness to spread light and raise everything up. We can raise the whole world up.
That's right.
We don't need everyone to be a Christian. So
And I still haven't seen anyone in the comment who are so brave comment heroes in the comment section come on and challenge you, such as Still Here with all his trolling. I still haven't seen systematic. Come on up, you
yeah.
brave warriors of atheism. Come on up.
I'm looking to do a debate. I haven't had anyone that wanted to really debate so far.
Exactly.
They want to do the Bible study thing. Well, I got someone else requesting. You mind if I drop you down here? Because it kind of.
Oh no, go ahead. No, go ahead. I just want to bring that up about
Man,
history and everything like that.
That was an excellent point, man.
Yeah, you could drop me.
All right. Yeah, I think a lot of the things that get blamed on Christianity, like Crusades, is more political type things, or the Inquisition.
You see, in my point of view, there's one problem with Christianity. You guys think you are special. For some reason, you guys think you are special.
I think the Bible teaches that humility is a virtue. So
No, you guys think you are special. That's the reason why you think only the believers of Christ will go to heaven. Everybody else, no matter which religion they follow, they're always going to go to hell. Isn't that a little too much of an over assumption, in my opinion?
Well, the idea is that we're all condemned.
You guys think only through Christ you can go to heaven. Through Allah you can't go to heaven. Through Krishna you can't go to heaven. Through Buddha you can't go to heaven. Being an atheist you can't go to heaven. Every other path you want to block just because you want to feel special about your own path. Isn't that the truth?
Well, I don't know. It's not about being special. It's about what's true. We don't think we're special.
Yeah, you feel special because you think only you know the truth and everybody else doesn't know the truth, right?
No, we think that people hate the truth and that they.
I don't hate the truth. I think all paths are the right paths. Anybody who says only my path is the right path, in my opinion, is not thinking straight.
Yeah, but there can only if Christianity is true, then like
Christianity is
Islam
also true. That's also your answer, right? Christianity doesn't have to be the only truth. Christianity can also be a truth, right?
Yeah, but
you don't want to accept it. You don't want to accept it because
you're not
you
letting me talk.
special.
You're being kind of emotional. Like it can't be the case that Islam and Christianity are both true, right?
Why not?
Because they have mutually exclusive beliefs.
Who said that to you? That's the bullshit they want you to believe.
Dude,
I won't believe you. You go to a Quran site and they tell you, Quran first of all says it is taken out of the Bible only. The Quran is a rewrite of the Bible with a few changes. You know that?
I know it says that you can go to the Bible to affirm the Quran's true, but then the Bible would deny the Quran.
In the Quran itself, it says go to the Bible. You will see that we are true because Bible also says the same thing.
Yeah, but then no, the Bible will say that the Quran is false.
The Bible will not say Quran is false because in the Bible was
yes, it does.
Okay, let me tell you. When the Bible was there was no Quran, there was no Islam.
Are you a
When
Muslim?
the Bible was originally written, there was no Quran, there was no Islam. How can it be in the Bible if when the Bible was written, there was no Quran and no Islam?
Because the Bible talks about like...
No, I'm asking you a question. How can it be true if, whatever you're saying, how can it be true if at that time the Bible was written, there was no Quran and there was no Islam?
Because the Bible says that anyone who tries to like add on to scripture is, I can't remember the word, but
and
like
do you know who wrote the Bible? And do you know
You
who wrote
can't
the
add on to
Bible?
scripture.
Okay, do you know who wrote the Bible?
Do I know who wrote the Bible? No.
Yeah. Do you know how the Bible came into
No,
existence?
I'm not a Bible scholar. I prove it's true.
No, Christianity means you should know something about the Bible. I'm non-Christian. I need to know. I seem to know more about the Bible than you do as a Christian. That looks pretty silly for me.
Well, I don't care what it looks like. I'm here to debate. I have an
Yeah,
argument.
wait, you are debating in the wrong direction. I'm just telling you, you
You're not
belong to
even
a
dealing with
minority.
my argument. I
Okay,
have an
what is your
argument
argument?
that objectively proves Christianity. It's a
Okay, please
transcendental
throw your
argument.
argument. Please
Can,
give me your
can you
argument.
please be quiet for a second and let the others speak? Damn.
So the idea is that like there's a necessary relationship between like God or the Christian God specifically and facts. And so like if we have facts, then the Christian God exists. We have facts, therefore the Christian God exists. Because only the Christian God can like make facts intelligible and sensible.
Okay.
That's the idea.
So my idea is this: what a God would actually like to have is most of the people are not sinners. That's what the God likes to have. What the God likes is most of the people are not sinners. The best way for him to make that happen is to lower the bar on sinning.
Is to what?
Lower the bar on sinning.
Lower the bar on sinning.
That's the best way.
Well,
Nobody will be sinners.
Don't you think God knows the best way? What you think you know better than God?
No, I think I know better than the guy who wrote the Bible.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The guy, it's a guy only who wrote the Bible. With hands only, the Bible was written.
It's like
It was
66
written
books.
by hand only, by one guy only. Some man only wrote it.
Oh man, I
You
can't
understand
do
that?
this. I
Some
can't.
guy
I'm
with an
absolutely
ordinary
wrong.
human brain, and that
Yeah, I
too he
think
wrote
there's
it
a bit of a
2000 years
language
back.
barrier.
2000 years back, people were not very educated. So it's very
Okay.
possible that he made a lot of mistakes.
Well, I wish you well, man. I guess you know it all. So
No, I'm not saying I wish you. Why do you want to not know the truth?
okay.
Wait,
Why do you
didn't
not?
Muhammad
I can't even really
supposedly
understand.
recite the Quran when Muhammad's illiterate and he can't read or write?
Well, then he could speak it, right? And then people would write it down. I don't know.
But
anything
I don't
about
know. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, how are you supposed to memorize something in like an articulate way when you can't even read or write?
Yeah, I don't know.
I just. But I hope he's still in here because Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. So that idea that every religion is like the right thing is false.
Yeah, that guy was all over the place. It was hard to understand what he was saying too.
He wasn't even interested in having a conversation. He
No,
was
he
just
just
trying to
like
ramble.
ignored everything that I said to him. And he's just like preaching. That's what a lot of people they think debate means it's their time to come up here and like preach about their whatever kooky belief. Like I had a guy the other day was like telling me he believed he was God, and then that other guy was like saying like, what if I told you that I heard God's voice talking to me? Would you believe me? It's like,
Oh,
no.
internet sloth?
No, it wasn't internet sloth. It was an actual like, it wasn't like an atheist trying to make an argument. It was an actual like crazy person that thought they were talking to God and God was telling them things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, the one dude the other day asking you like if God speaks to you, like do you think God speaks to people or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think so. And if he did, like, let's say God did talk to you, like, how am I supposed to know that? Like, that's
Right.
between you and God. Like, there's no reason. If God were to talk to me, I'm not gonna like tell other people about it because that's between me and God. If God wants other people to know that, then he can tell them, you know.
Right, that's true. Like if God was speaking to me, I'm not gonna go up to everybody. Hey, God told me this. God told me that.
Yeah, you're
Like-
gonna look like a nutcase.
Right. Like God definitely can do that, but he does. I don't think he just talks to everybody.
Well, even if he did, there's no reason. Like, why would I believe that? There's nothing backing that. It's like when the atheist goes, "Oh, I just had a revelation last night." It's like, screw that. That's what they think we believe. Just like anything someone says, "Oh, welcome guest."
Hello.
So, do you accept God as your creator?
No, not really.
Oh my gosh, why not?
Just a lot of reasons. Anyways, you wanted to talk about the transcendental argument.
True.
I googled it, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's just the idea that like, so we don't believe that a fact or evidence can be neutral, that evidence requires interpretation, and different interpretations would give the evidence different meanings, right? And to get the correct meaning from like the facts or the evidence, we need the correct interpretation. And then, so the question is going to be like, who can correctly interpret the facts? Like, who has the correct interpretive scheme? Or you could think of it as a theory of factness. I think Van Til put it that way.
No, you got a group of facts that relate to a particular subject, and you're trying to figure out which one's true, which ones are true, and which ones are not.
Right, and so we look at like Christianity is a way of looking at the world. It's called like a paradigm model of reality.
Yeah, it's one of those things that offers one of those facts.
Or we could call it an interpretive scheme. So we just argue Christianity is an interpretive scheme that we say that like, we can only know the correct interpretive scheme basically if that interpretive scheme is like a personal God that reveals itself to us. Because like otherwise, how would you know like the correct paradigm? Unless ultimate reality, it takes the initiative to reveal itself to us. Like we wouldn't know the correct paradigm to interpret reality, basically.
You could say this could also be like the reason why things are shown to, in the Christian perspective, the reason new progression in many different fields is made is because of God. New invention, technology, God popped that idea. New social idea, new political idea everyone agrees with, God popped that idea. God popped that idea into their head. Like that's what you're saying, basically. Making God sound socialist.
Kind of. I would say that like reasoning is only possible because of this like analogical relationship between God's mind and our mind, since we're made in God's image. Like reasoning is correct thinking about the world, and we can think correctly about the world because like we think basically God's thoughts after God has thought them.
Reasoning thing. I think the ancient Greeks came up with our idea of what we call reasoning. The ancient Greeks came up with that, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
Well,
So
yeah,
not
it kind of like shifts over time, though, probably.
but it shifts over time. But the idea that we got today wasn't made by Christians. It was developed by Greeks, probably pagan Greeks.
Sure.
Crazy. Not really. But anyways. Okay, so yeah, that's super simple. So then the next thing Christianity has to do is test its facts to make sure that they are true, I guess.
Well, that's what the transcendental argument is about. It's like which paradigm can make a fact intelligible, right? And we're going to say like, if you deny Christianity, you couldn't make sense of facts at all. Because
So then your claims also would include that Christianity has to be right or anything else can't be right.
Yeah, because all the other models of reality would make knowledge impossible. And if knowledge is impossible, like you could.
That last guess was right. Y'all think you're special as hell, dog.
No, we're not special. It's just an
You
argument.
literally just said you're the one that has to be right or everything else is false. How is that not special?
It's an argument. It's a logical argument. I mean,
You're logically arguing that you're special.
It has nothing to do about being
Also, this is
special.
still, and if we want to get scientific with it, this is still technically just a hypothesis until we get those facts.
No, it's not a hypothesis.
Yeah, it is. It's just a logical. It's just a logical claim. It's just a hypothesis. Until those facts have been proven, have been tested and proven, it's just a hypothesis.
First of all, it's not a hypothesis; it's a proposition, right? And a proposition is either true or false.
Well, in the scientific context, my bad. That's why I said that before. If you want to get scientific with it, but yeah, proposition, yeah, sure.
It's not. We're not. It's not scientific though. We're not proving as God with science.
Part of it is though, a little bit.
We're saying that science is only possible if there's a God. Because to do science,
like that too. The specialist, can you prove that?
Sure.
A lot of scientists don't believe in God. Like more than half. More than half.
They're
and a lot of the older ones that Christians tend to claim are Christians are usually either unorthodox, dare I even say borderline heretical, or not Christian. Just like straight up not Christian. Like Albert Einstein, straight up just not Christian.
Exactly. They're a bunch of foolish scientists, aren't they? So to do science, there has to be like repeatable results from a test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for there to be repeatable results to do a scientific test, there has to be order in the world, right?
Right.
And so God's revelation,
some kind of order, because there is chaos also exists in the world. And that's observable, like, shoot a camera out in space if you believe in that kind of thing.
This is an unrelated rabbit trail.
Like, if you believe in that.
Yeah, you're going on an unrelated rabbit trail because you don't want to deal with the proof I'm about to smack you with, do you? So you're trying to distract from it.
No, hit me with it. I was going to say more, but no, just hit me with it. Just because you said that, just hit me with it.
Okay, so like human reason and observation alone, without the aid of God,
things that were invented, things that we use that were invented by ancient Greeks. Sorry, go on.
Cannot explain the order in the world. Only God's revelation can explain the order of the world. If that order is not explained, science would be impossible. Therefore, science is only possible if you accept Christian revelation.
Can you go over that one more time?
Yes. Human reason and observation without the aid of God cannot explain the order that is necessary for scientific experiments to be possible. Only God's revelation can explain that order. Therefore, science is only possible if God's revelation is true.
Why can't human reason that? Yeah, why?
Because we would prove things, typically we use like a rational proof or an empirical proof. And there'd be no rational proof that there's order in the world because it's not like necessary. It's not a necessary truth. And there's no empirical proof that there's order in the world because that would be begging the question or like a type of fallacious circular reasoning. So the only way to justify or explain the order in the world is if God reveals himself to us and tells us that it is him who puts the order in the world. And mind you, this is necessary for science to be possible. So
I guess in a God perspective, it makes sense.
Atheist philosopher Bertrand Russell, he says if you can't solve that problem, then science is impossible.
It makes sense. I guess it makes sense if you think of it in more of a symbolic or theistic kind of way, especially like in a symbolic way. It's kind of like you're just being led on with breadcrumbs, though. It's kind of weird. Like, why is he doing that? Why is this omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent being leading people with breadcrumbs instead of just like, hey guys, you know?
It's not breadcrumbs. He's made it. It's every evidence that exists is evidence of God. There couldn't be more evidence of God because God is necessary for evidence at all. And so God's just made it like super obvious that he exists. And the only reason you don't believe in him is because you hate Jesus.
the evidence is true, and because of the fact that it's true, God exists.
No, I just presented a proof. God's necessary for evidence, right? The denial of evidence is impossible because you would need evidence to deny evidence. And so if it's the case that God's necessary for evidence, then due to the impossibility of the contrary, God exists. And I can demonstrate that God's necessary for evidence.
Okay, demonstrate that God is necessary for evidence.
I did with the scientific experiments, remember? They require the order in the world.
No, I don't remember actually. You're not gonna lie, your words are like hitting to me in a different kind of way. Not that I'm not understanding you literally. I'm just like, dude, I just don't want to fucking pay attention to you right now. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna get off for a little bit. I'll be back.
This is what tagged us to the atheist brain.
I'm not an atheist, by the way.
What are you?
I don't really like to put a label on it, but it's basically just like it's like everything encompassing. Like I also Googled what the word pantheist means, and I don't.
Oh, you went on pause. Oh, so you're a pantheist?
I just kicked them. Dude, everyone today is like, oh, I believe everything is true. Like, what is this?
Yeah, pantheism seems irrational.
Did you see how I broke his brain right there?
Yeah, he was like trying, like at first he was trying to like destroy you, and then he got like humble, and then after that he was just like, I just don't want to listen to you, bro.
Yeah,
he pretty much made it clear that he just doesn't understand it.
Mm-hmm. They're blindsided with this. They've never considered that there's criticisms to science. They just dogmatically believe whatever science says. And because science says, Bible claims can't be true because science claims, like, they just go with the science claims. They're completely indoctrinated into science. And they think we're the ones that are indoctrinated. But, I mean, I wasn't always a Christian. I didn't think Christianity was true for most of my life. I questioned Christianity. And just because I'm a Christian now, I would still question it. I'm here every day asking questions like, tell me why it's not true, right?
Right. And they have yet to actually provide like a substantive answer.
Yeah, basically what I hear is, well, I don't want it to be true. That's basically what they tell me. Well, unfortunately, truth doesn't depend on what we want or don't want to be true. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? But that's not reality. We need to use like logical, objective proof to determine what's true. We can't just want things, wish, hope, and pray that things are true. Autumn, I'd like to have you up, Autumn, but can you not call me a P3DO? Please?
I'm not gonna be blatantly rude, but I will say that I do view you differently after the situation that happened. But I do have an argument about why the Old Testament in specific is not historically accurate and was likely just mythology.
Hey, look, Autumn, I'll apologize, okay? I'm kind of like socially awkward. I don't think I can say the word, but like...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I could... I worked with autistic people... with that population. And I do have respect.
So I was just trying to be funny, and I was also trying to compliment you. I wasn't trying to do anything weird.
Yeah, it just kind of sounded weird in the context, but we can move on past that. Like, let's talk about why the Old Testament isn't actually as historically accurate as we may claim and is likely mythology.
But I'm not really knowledgeable on this stuff.
Well, if you can't defend the biggest claim that you have, which is since the Bible is historically accurate, that is why, Yahweh is the one true God, which is what your claim tends to be oftentimes, then how can you say that? Like, you can argue that there may be a God, but that would just make you agnostic unless you have, like, proof that Yahweh is specifically the right God.
It kind of depends what you mean by historically accurate, because like the Jews, like what I believe is they were in the Near East, they were surrounded by all these cultures, and they didn't ignore cultures. They would absorb things from other cultures and sort of put a twist on them and give them new meaning. And so it's like, are you going to point to like how, I don't know, there's like an Egyptian poem and some like there, you can see the other culture's influence on the Jewish text. Like I'm aware of that.
No, so I was going to bring up two main points. One being Noah's Ark. So Noah's Ark claimed to have flooded the entirety of the earth. Do you agree with that statement?
I think that, yeah, it sounds like,
Okay.
I know there's some dispute between local and global flood, but
Yeah. So I was going to say that it sounds a lot like mythology to me, because it seems like these people, their land was the only one that was flooded from scientific evidence that we can empirically look at. So what had happened was there was a flood, multiple floods that we could see at the time period that were in the Middle East and within Africa, but it was not a global situation. And we can see this from the erosion on the rocks as well as radioisotopes. So we can look at all of these things and come to the conclusion that it wasn't a global flood likely during that specific period of time, right? It was likely a local flood. It seems like this whole Noah's Ark thing was made up based on the context in which they lived in, which is all of the land that they saw was flooded. So they were like, okay, the whole world must be flooded, which makes sense in a mythological standpoint, because we see that a lot in other cultures in which that you
there's like
condemn.
Isn't there like a great flood myth in like many cultures? So wouldn't that like indicate that these ancient people probably experienced this thing? Like it seems that would verify it.
Wait, can you repeat that claim?
Like there's flood mythologies in not just Christianity or Judaism, but other cultures, right?
Do you think that when I said that, I claimed that the only flood that happened was during Noah's Ark?
No, but
Floods
I'm just
happen
saying,
all the time. It's literally just a natural phenomenon in which we can measure, right?
yeah, but there's a lot of like myth around like this great
Okay, so you
flood.
agree it wasn't a global flood.
Well, I don't know. I don't debate this stuff, so like I'd have to research.
So you don't have a response to a part of historical evidence within the Bible, which is why you claim to believe in the Bible. Why do you believe in the Bible if not the historical accuracy that comes with it?
Well, I believe the transcendental argument for God's an objective proof.
Okay, you can say that there could be a God, but why does God have to be the God of the Bible? Because you think
he has to reveal himself over the course of human history. Because if he doesn't reveal himself, we wouldn't know him. And in the Bible, we have a God who has revealed himself over the course of human history. So it makes sense.
Okay, so just because Jesus existed, that means all of the claims are true.
No, it's because
Okay.
It's because of the transcendental argument for God. That's why I think that's an objective proof.
So
It's
you can't
necessary to
defend your
make sense
faith.
of reality.
So you can't defend your faith.
Of course I can.
No, you can't. You just said the transcendental argument can signify that there is a God, but the transcendental argument cannot signify that the Holy Bible God is the one true God. You understand that, right?
No, the argument comes from the Bible. The argument is about like that we get our principles from the Bible, and then we compare our principles from the Bible to like any other like model their principles or any other position's principles.
Yeah, so why is being rainbow bad then? Because now we can look at it and a majority of people are, in support of, the LGBTQ community having basic human rights and being able to get married, although that's not necessarily the view that is held within biblical texts according to Paul specifically in the New Testament. I know a lot of you guys don't follow Old Testament law anymore, but with Paul in the New Testament, he specifically talks about that act, right? and how
Yeah.
it could be viewed as morally wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but yeah, but I don't think if you're not a Christian, Christian law should not apply to you. So if you're not a Christian, then
I mean, we can see in other cultures that a lot of them do hold the same evidence, or not same, the same morality, not the exact same, but like the same general morality that we need to function as a society. So I'm talking about, you know, laws in the Bible that would be considered like atrocities, right? They tend to be against those. I'm not saying all societies have done that, but we can see that a lot of societies without God and who have not even known God have come to those conclusions on their own. And morality is definitely 100% subjective. Your morality is 100% subjective. My morality is everyone's morality is 100% subjective. However, I could argue point by point exactly why each of the things that I believe are morally wrong is morally wrong in my worldview. So I think that that's a stronger base for actually believing in why things are wrong. If you don't understand why you believe things are wrong outside of Sky Daddy says so, which by the way is subjective morality, then I don't know what you're doing. It directly is.
that was a gish gallop there.
What's God's will? What's God's will? Is it him making
It's
a
that
decision and
he wants
saying
us
what
to
he
love
thinks
each
is
other.
good and bad?
He wants us to spread love in the world. It's all about like love. Like
So
Christianity is all
when
about
God
love.
says something, that is how you know it is right and wrong, right?
Yes. Well,
When does
the good is the will
God
of
say
God.
something? When does God
That's-
say something about something?
That's the difficult part, right? We have I guess like Jesus as a model of like how to live, and then we have to try to follow that example as best we can using our like God-given reason.
Okay, so you do believe in subjective morality. What are you talking about? So like you don't
No, I
necessarily
don't.
read the Bible to look for morality. You read on your inner heart using Jesus Christ to guide you. That is literally the definition of subjective morality.
I've been kind of reading a book about morality and studying it recently, and I think there is an objective morality in God,
Prove
but
it.
there's also like we live in a society, and so that society, human life necessitates some like rules and customs and taboos and all that. So there does seem to be a necessity that to have a human society that we have to create these rules and stuff, right? So that's just a part of human life. It's like a necessary evil.
Okay.
Bad cops coming.
So my question to you would be, why do you think that we're such a diverse? Oh fuck, Darth is in here. Can you actually like condemn what Darth said about me? How I'm like ugly and shit. Like that was really fucking mean.
He didn't say.
Yeah, he literally said that I like looked like a troll. I think
No,
that
he
you
didn't
should.
say that.
No. As a Christian, is that a loving thing to say? I would
He
like
was being
you to
on. No,
actively
he was just
condemn
saying
that
like
behavior.
a lot of times you would come on stream, and you didn't put effort to really like look nice. And that last time you were on stream, I could tell
I
you
looked
put
like
effort.
like I was on the verge of death, is what he said. Is that nice? Yeah, you're laughing because you're mean. You're laughing because you're not actually following the word of God and loving other people, right?
Well, we're just having fun. Don't take it so seriously.
Oh, it's fun to not to be hateful. That's
It's
directly
not. It's
hateful
not.
towards another
Oh my
person.
gosh, we're not. No one's
I
being
wouldn't call
hateful.
it painful. I would call it an accurate description.
Okay. So you can say that, right? But is that coming
Are
from a
you
place of
offended
love?
because somebody is being accurate?
So does truth always come from a place of love, or are there some times where you can be truthful and also loving at the same time?
Only in the Christian worldview.
Yeah. So I'm asking you, what could you have said differently, which I know you could, that would have been more following to the teachings of Christ?
Oh, okay, I get it. If I could have said that you look like something the cat dragged in.
Very loving. This is great. This is great. It's really just showing
this is gonna get me
that you guys
bad.
don't really care
The way
about
this
like
direction
the
is going.
loving
Isn't it
aspects
amazing
of
we
God
have an atheist?
or of Jesus Christ's existence.
Isn't it amazing? We have an atheist who is making value judgments in a world
Based
where
on
there
your
is no-
Bible.
Why are you interrupting me?
Okay, finish.
Okay. you atheists never cease to make me laugh when you make any value judgments whatsoever. You have no objective basis whatsoever to make value judgments in your not God world.
Yeah, I do, because I have subjective morality, you have subjective morality. Very clearly.
This is
Very
why when you're
clearly you
young
have
and you're
subjective
naive,
morality, right?
yeah, you're not
Because
understanding.
you are not
right?
following the teachings of Christ right
Subjective
now, which is
morality
you making a
produces-
different moral decision than those stated directly in the holy text.
Okay, this is again the same old problem. Your complete lack of focus and paying attention to what's being presented.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
you.
we can talk about how the Bible is not historically accurate,
I don't want to
debunking.
mute you. Okay, right?
What?
Again, you're
You are
doing what you
talking.
always do. Okay, I don't want to have to mute you. That's the second time I've said it. Now, you're doing what you always do. You ignore what's being presented to you, and then you go into motor mouth mode. The fact of the matter is that subjectiveness reduces to relativism, and relativism means you can know nothing. So is your morality relativistic, yes or no?
She already
Yes.
admitted that. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
and I'm going to explain
Then
why.
it's- then
I
look,
can make a
then
personal
all you're
argument as to
telling
why
me-
I think things are
all you're
morally
doing
correct
is
or
you
morally
tell me
wrong.
you like chocolate ice cream. Who cares?
No,
Who
I
cares
can
what you
look
like?
at logical reasoning and facts and come to conclusions about
Okay,
moral
Here's
things.
the problem. Listen carefully. We're going to go over this again, which you didn't get the last time. When you talk about logical reasoning in your model of reality, from your perspective, is logical reasoning correct reasoning about the world?
Well, when we can look at like statistics and things like that,
No,
that's pretty accurate, I would
This
say.
is what I don't like about you, okay?
Why?
When I ask you a very simple question.
Okay, well,
I
the
dumb
answer
it down.
was-
I don't want to have
was
to mute
yes.
you. That's the third time I've said this. This is what I do. At times I ask very simple questions to dumb it down, but you atheists take advantage and you go off into community college lecture mode, okay? You look, you're not in a position to lecture me, okay? I'm more than 3 times your age. I know a lot more than you do about life. Now, is logical thinking correct thinking about the world?
In and of itself, no.
Okay. See, you are totally clueless. You are totally clueless.
No.
If logic is not correct thinking about, is logical correct thinking about the nature of reality?
Sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear you.
Is logical thinking correct thinking about the nature of reality?
No.
Then what is it correct thinking about?
Yeah, so again, we can use our logical brain to come to conclusions
You're
about it.
not okay. Look. Autumn.
By
you are
looking at things on a mass scale, right?
You are totally clueless when you talk.
No, I'm not being clueless.
What is logical?
I'm just gonna. Can I just say something really quick to Mars?
know what?
Mars,
I'm
do
about
you
to
notice
kick- I'm
how
warning
as soon
you.
as Darth
I'm
comes up,
about
this
to
this
kick
conversation becomes
You have
hostile?
no
No, it was you were kind of
self-control with
hostile.
your mouth.
I wasn't being hostile before,
Autumn,
Autumn,
and then Darth
Autumn.
came up and he made it a
Autumn.
million times more
All right, I'm
hostile.
gonna mute her. Okay. So, Autumn, once again, you're totally clueless. Okay. If logical thinking is not correct thinking about reality, there is nothing else besides reality. Your answer was no. You said logical thinking is not correct thinking about reality. Then it's not thinking about anything, because reality is a term that is all encompassing. Okay? Now, I just explained to you your blatant mistake. Do you understand your mistake?
Well, if you had let me explain,
Do you
the context
understand
of which I believe
your
that.
mistake?
So, you called me like
Do
an
you
idiot. You know what
understand
Matthew 5:22
your
says
mistake?
about calling people dumb? It
Do
says,
you
and whoever says
understand
you fool
your
will be
okay,
liable to the
goodbye,
hell of fire.
Goodbye.
You're going to hell, Darth. I don't know.
That's my catchphrase.
You heard her say, you can clip this to your stream, okay? You can clip this. She said, logical thinking is not correct thinking about reality. Okay?
I was actually only planning to stream till 10. I got somewhere to go. But I was going to add that if you take the subjective moral position, you won't be able to argue because an argument is going to presuppose that there's an objective truth we share and that you ought to believe the truth. If there's no ought to your argument, then there's no force. There's no why should I even if your argument's true, why should I even believe it? So
notice what I said to her. If logical thinking is not correct thinking about reality in some perspective, then there's nothing outside or independent of reality. She completely ignored what I explained was her egregious error. This is what atheists do. They ignore their big mistakes and they just keep on going yada, yada, yada. This is the Black Knight syndrome. She actually said, logical thinking is not correct thinking about reality.
this is what they do, like one after another. They just ignore what you present to them and they just go on to preaching.
They ignore, or if they don't outright ignore what you're saying, they pretend like they're excuse me, they pretend like they're responding to what you have said, but they will only respond to an inkling of it and rabbit trail and filibuster.
Yep. Very rare that they do directly respond. Very rare. But anyways, I was gonna just stream till 10 because I gotta go somewhere, but I might be back later. So
Yeah, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and like I said, she excels at chutzpah. She excels at assertiveness, which is fine, but she's not guided by knowledge or wisdom or education. She doesn't know what she's talking about. See, a lot of these atheists think that because they're very opinionated, therefore what they're saying is subjective. If they hold opinions with passion, therefore that makes for a good argument. No, it doesn't. They refuse to acknowledge the elephant in the room.